Hey guys, welcome back to another video. A lot of you are asking about different disciplines of design and information regarding the same so that you can choose which discipline to apply for and which design discipline to look forward to as your next career move. So this was a long pending video and now we are doing it. So what I have planned is we will go one by one and we'll follow the NID website. There are certain disciplines which are specific only to NID, but you will find those disciplines available also in other institutes. Even abroad, you will find certain disciplines available on their website. So for the sake of standards, we will stick to NID website and follow the order in which NID has listed the disciplines. So while I was going through these descriptions of individual disciplines, I realized that the language used by NID is not really very easy to understand when it comes to common people or when it comes to non-designer students. The design industry may be aware of those terminologies and are okay with that ambiguity and jargonish language, but for a normal student who is just out of school or who is in his 10th and 12th standard or who is just out of engineering college or is just a BCom grad, this kind of language is really difficult to understand and make a clear understanding of what exactly that discipline is about. I think I was underestimating the problem here and I realized it very soon. So I'm going to describe each and every discipline in a very simple format so that you can take that critical decision. Okay, so we'll start with animation and film design because it's going through an alphabetic order. So first is animation and film design. What is animation basically is anything which is not visually present in your physical world, but you want to show it through your own imagination and through your own character design. So that is why we are creating or segregating the whole discipline as animation design. What it essentially means is anything which you can create as a character, as an object for your film, and then you are doing the entire animation, entire movement for that object, for that character, using sketching, using digital methods, using physical methods. But what is the difference between animation film and a regular film is that in a regular film you actually hire characters, you actually hire real people who have life of their own and who can understand and play the character of their own by themselves. In an animation movie, it's just one person who is directing it and who is controlling each and every character. You don't have the characters as their own life, okay? And that is what the fun is all about because it's extremely creative. You can control each and everything in an animated movie. And animation is a very powerful medium which is getting more and more power because of the usage of technology these days. So animation is something that you should choose if you are interested in creating a story from scratch, creating a character from scratch, and putting your ideas, putting your thoughts, and putting a life into that character. Like for example, me as a filmmaker cannot have a character like an iPhone in my movie, but as a animator I can definitely have a character called iPhone and I can use this phone as a character in my movie, and that is what the flexibility is given in an animation movie. And as an animator you will be working with a lot of design agencies, you can be working very closely with media houses and in particular media industry. So right from doing an information brochure in an animated format to creating a full-fledged animation movie like Toy Story, you can get into any sort of detailing in the animation world. And animation world is primarily a 3D software rendering industry. Most of the time you will be playing with computer and you will not be interacting much with the real humans, because your characters, your storyboards, your all the screenplay, everything related to that movie is happening inside the computer, right? So take animation if you are interested in creating your own characters, if you are interested in sketching, you are interested in telling your stories in your own fashion, creating a message in your own fashion, and you love the idea of motion. If motion graphics and creating some sort of motion and communication is your true potential, is your talent, then you should choose animation. And this video can get very long because I am getting into a lot of details in each and every discipline specifically, so it may stretch up to 40-50 minutes. Okay, and if you are interested into a specific branch only, then you can skip to that part. Just note down that I will be following this alphabetic order, so you can check with NID website and move forward. Second is apparel design. So apparel design in NID is all about fashion and merchandising, and all those things are amalgamated into just one discipline. If you are a hardcore fashion enthusiast, then I would strongly suggest you get into NIFT, because NIFT is much more focused on particularly fashion design than at NID. NID is an amalgamation of 19-20 different disciplines, and you will get a very holistic understanding and idea about design, but it's not extremely fashion focused. Though the level and the understanding and the recognition in the industry is same, but NIFT is also, the top NIFT colleges are also equally good. And for fashion, I would strongly recommend that you choose the top 3 NIFTs over NID. And in apparel design, they cover textile, they cover lifestyle, they cover accessory design, and apparel is primarily dealing with basics of fashion design, as well as amalgamating it, merging it with different aspects of textile as well. So apparel and textile are two closely associated branches, and in NID we don't have a different knitwear and those side of super speciality disciplines. Everything that is related to fashion is covered in apparel design only. Okay, now moving to ceramic and glass design. This is particularly a very chemistry oriented discipline, and ceramic and glass design is very good if you are interested in physical products which are not mass manufactured in industry but needs a lot of craft work. So if your taste of design is very crafty, if you like to create beautiful things using clay and other craft materials like terracotta and other sorts of materials, and you are particularly interested in homely decor things or crafty things, then ceramic is a good option for you as a career. Particularly if you are coming from arts background, if you are coming from home science background, then this is the kind of discipline which will gel with a lot with your interest, because most of the time the ceramic designers will be creating some kind of pottery, some kind of tableware, some kind of tabletop accessories and those kind of things. And primarily these branches requires a lot of physical work. Whatever you will be making, it's primarily with your bare hands, on a spinning wheel, on a potter's wheel. So you should understand that this particular branch is not very tech savvy. If you don't like tech side of design, you don't like a lot of screen and using computers and all those things, and ceramic and glass design is a very good option. You are literally playing with colors in 3D. The glass blow molding process and all those things are very fascinating to watch, and whatever you are building in 3D from day one. So very little sketching and a lot of 3D physical work. You will be playing a lot with POP and clay and glass and hell lot of chemicals to put different colors into your glass and other artifacts. And from a physical play around perspective, this is a very interesting field. And most of the classic work from most of the classic work in ceramic and glass industry comes from China and some European countries. So you will get a chance to work with global clients if you are, good with your craft. Okay. Now moving on to retail experience. Now, as the word suggests, this particular branch is heavily focused on retail experience. What do you mean by retail? Is all these big malls and superstores and everything related to shopping industry and everything related to big shops and big places where people go to experience different levels and different types of shopping. So if you are a shopping freak, if you are a shopping enthusiast, if you are a person who is really interested into the experience part of shop, then design for retail experience is for you, because this is a particular discipline which is new and which is hybrid. They take care of everything that is required to improve retail experience. So there will be subjects from graphics design, there will be subjects from space and interior design, there will be subjects from human psychology and all those things. So you will learn a lot about space, you learn a lot about creating system, creating experience using different types of design. So for example, if you are redesigning the entire Pantaloon shopping experience, and Pantaloon is a big chain of retail stores, right? So you will be taking care of every aspect of user experience in that shopping, right? From the research of the right kind of customers to what you should put on the first floor, second floor, third floor, what type of sales, what type of clothing, what type of accessories and objects you should keep in different sections of the store. Everything will be covered in retail experience. Okay. And this particular industry is booming a lot in Asian countries nowadays, because every time the economy is thriving, a lot of new retail chains and retail stores are coming up, and more people tend to go for shopping. So the scope of retail designers and experienced designer is in this particular industry is growing, and it will grow in future also, because a lot of money is involved in retail. A lot of money is involved when thousands of people visit a big store and experience a new level of shopping. So through design intervention, retail stores can improve their profits, and they need a lot of designers to realize those profits. Moving on to digital game design. Now this is a little different from the standard toy and game design branch. Digital game design is completely into digital space, and it requires some kind of technology fascination. If you are interested into game design, if you are a hardcore gamer, if you love the idea of games in digital space, and you are hooked to your PlayStation or gaming PC, and you really enjoy creating games, playing games, and the whole idea of game brings a smile on your face, then definitely you should go for this branch, because gaming industry is gaining a lot of traction over the last 5-6 years. A lot of big players are coming into gaming industry. Microsoft is one of the biggest players now in gaming industry, and with this Xbox 360 and a lot of new things coming up, gaming is going to be a very futuristic discipline to study. So huge scope if you are interested into the technology part, and if you are interested into the soft gaming industry. Okay. Now moving to film and video communication. Now film and video is a very standard and age-old branch in NID, but this is also evolving as technology is penetrating into everywhere. Everything which is related to visual communication technology is some or the other way impacting it, affecting it. Okay, so this is a very age-old traditional medium of communicating. And what I mean by communication is telling a message, telling a story, communicating a big idea with the use of characters and story, and building a strong narrative where you want to communicate a message which you just cannot communicate by using a poster or using a billboard, right? So this is one very very important field of study. This is, you can say, the mother of all communication mediums. Film and video is the most comprehensive medium of communication. Whatever you can communicate through a photograph or through a poster, you can communicate, or through a audio channel, you can communicate 10 times more through an audio visual experience and through a film. So a lot of creativity goes into creating one film, right from, I mean, I would say all the branches of designs comes into play when you are creating a masterpiece of movie design. Any good movie will have a great costume designer, a great set designer, a very good audio designer, and photography designer, and a lot of things comes into picture. That's why you see a lot of casting lists when the movie ends, because it's the biggest performance of a huge group of creatives and huge group of designers. So film and video communication is great if you are you know if you are interested in creating a larger than life events, and you want to build something which will last for years and years, and if you have the patience and perseverance to create a very complicated thing, a very complex thing, using a lot of stuff. What I mean by a lot of stuff is, if you, as a film designer, you will have to talk to a lot of people, manage your camera, manage your editing, manage the audios, and you know communicating, advertising your own film, and creating posters, and advertising the whole thing in media, and a lot of things comes into picture when you are launching a film, right? So film and video communication is a very powerful medium, and you should get into it if you are primarily a audiovisual person. If you yourself are a movie buff and you really love watching movies, and you are very much into understanding the characters and role play and storyline and narratives and characters and all those things, if you are into that, then you should definitely study film and video communication. And as you know, the film industry is booming, and a lot of new types of cinema is coming up, and YouTube is the biggest example that a lot of people started watching video as a biggest medium of communication. A lot of people have started watching more and more video content over reading. Okay, now moving on to furniture and interior design. Again, a very standard industrial design sub branch, because it's all dealing with physical products and physical materials. Primarily, you will be working with a lot of wood and metal, plastics, definitely, but not in NID. You will get a chance to work on plastics and other advanced materials when you go to industry. In NID, most of the projects will be done in different types of wood or metal. So this particular branch, as it says furniture and interior design, it teaches you primarily interior design, and some part of it revolves around furniture design also. And this particular branch is very essential if you are, it is very good if you are coming from architecture background. A lot of my batchmates were architects who went into furniture design, and this gives you a complete picture if you are coming from an architecture background, and you are aware of designing big buildings and offices and hospitals and schools and everything, and now you are coming from designing a 20-story building to designing a 2 feet tall table. So it gives you a good blend of understanding form and understanding material and volume, from cubic meters to cubic feet to cubic centimeters. So it's a very great discipline. It's a very great field of study if you are coming from architecture background, or if you are coming from engineering background, particularly mechanical or civil, and you are very much fascinated with 3D objects, and particularly in interior space, if you are excited about creating ambience in a house or in a hospital or in a school, and you think that 3D objects play a lot of role in daily experience, it adds on to your comfort and all those things, then this is a great branch for you. Placement wise, all these branches are good. You may not get a very lucrative job on day one in certain disciplines, but definitely you will make a lot of money if you are good at it over a period of 3 to 5 years, because the design industry is very closely connected. A lot of people know a lot of good people, and your name, your good talent and skills will spread like wildfire if you are really good at it, and a lot of people will offer you whatever you want, whatever you ask for, as long as you are able to deliver some awesome wow work in the industry. Okay, so don't worry about the pay package and all those things. If you are really passionate about it, go for it. I'm just explaining you the brief of that individual industry. The primary rule definitely is your interest, and second is if that thing is exciting you, if the work and the environment in which you will work is exciting you. The major difference between all these disciplines is basically the industry that you will be absorbed in, you will be working in. And other than that, all the design disciplines are basically very fluid. The boundaries are very fluid. It's not like if you are a mechanical engineer, you cannot work in a chemical laboratory. It's not like that. It's not like if you are a dentist, you cannot cure a dog, or you cannot cure a cat. So it's not a very strong boundary. It's not like if I am a company secretary, I cannot be a CA, or in other industries there are clear demarcations, like if I'm a neurologist or I'm a neuroscientist, then I cannot practice as a cardiologist, right? So these kind of differentiations are not there in design industry. As a graphic designer also, you can start working in UI UX industry and IT industry. As a ceramic designer also, you can start working in some other industry, provided that your work is suiting that industry. If you want to slowly shift your career from one discipline to another, you can do that. So it's not going to be a blunder mistake if you happen to join a different industry and don't like it later. Okay, now moving on to graphic design. Now graphic design is the mother of all visual communication related branches. What I mean by visual communication is your animation design, your film and video design, and UI UX design, and all these disciplines are primarily using the fundamentals of graphic design. So graphic design is like 100-year-old branch, and now as the technology is growing and people are evolving, their tastes are evolving, new devices are coming into picture. So based on these things, the mother branch is evolving into different segments. Okay, but the primary study of the core subjects remains the same. So in graphic design, you will be learning all the fundamentals that are required for communication in visual space, particularly in 2D format. Okay, so there will be projects for typography, there will be projects for print design, there will be projects for poster design and branding and logo design, and a lot of stuff which is essential for you to become a good communication designer will be covered in graphic design. And that is essentially what you will need even when you get into UI UX industry, or even when you get into animation industry. Understanding the core principles of graphic design, like what do you mean by contrast, what do you mean by balance, what do you mean by different gestalt principles, and all those things are very essential, and this branch will cover all that. And who should get into graphic design is anybody who is interested in the details of each and every pixel. If you love to do sketching, if you love to play around with colors, if you love to communicate certain idea using certain 2D mediums, if you are about getting into details of each and every line and stroke, and primarily like to do a lot of 2D work, be it painting, be it posters, be it creating nice patterns or textures, or drawing a lot of stuff, then definitely graphic design is for you. A very important part of graphic design is the idea of communication. So that is where this is different from being an artist. An artist is all about creating beautiful stuff, not necessarily a way of strongly communicating a message, but as a graphic designer you work on a particular brief. We are working with a school for blind children. So as a graphic designer you want to communicate that this is a particular school for blind children, and you support blind children and you help them grow in their career and all those things. The way you communicate this through posters and through a logo or through different visual modes of communication is very very critical. And the way you communicate it through that simple color and logo, and using the right font and typography and hierarchy and layouts, all those things are very very critical. And if you like that kind of study, you should definitely get into graphic design. Now moving on to information design. Now information design, interaction design, all these are IT integrated courses. IT integrated means they definitely revolve around a computer using a lot of IT technology, and fundamentally they are based on computer science and principles and products of computer science. If you are an information designer, you will definitely be working in IT industry. If you are an interaction designer, you will definitely be working in IT industry. So understand this thing, that the industry part is closely associated with the branch you choose. In interaction and information design, it's primarily understanding what you want to communicate and how a user is going to interact with what you are communicating. So for example, a simple ATM machine which you use on a daily basis and which a lot of users use on a daily basis, right from a 16-17-year-old boy to a 75-year-old uncle or grandparents, they use ATM machines, right? So you need to create the information and the interaction in a way that all these people find it easy to operate, easy to communicate, easy to get the work done. And the whole study is basically about human psychology, about doing research, about finding out what are the different types of informations, what are the different types of communication modes, what are the different types of segregating users based on their understanding of information, what are the different types of interactions to make people use a product in a better way, easier way. All those things will be studied. The first and the most important thing is, if you are not very much excited about the digital world and the digital life, then don't go by the demand and supply thing. Don't go by the whole job prospects and all those things, because sooner or later the demand will go down and the boom will come down, and later on you may feel frustrated because a lot of people jump into IT industry because of the good pay packages that the IT industry offers initially. But then later on, the downside of the industry is everything gets old very soon in IT industry. The language, the coding standards, the products, the softwares, the applications that you are using today will be obsolete 5 years down the line. And this is the fastest changing industry. So this is what you need to understand, that the industry that you are choosing should match your temperament, should match your ideology. It shouldn't be about just making money, just having a job, because jobs you will get any which way. If you are good at XYZ type of creative field, you will definitely get job. And I just want to make it clear again that the world is running because of the contribution of multiple industries. It's not like hardcore steel and petroleum and chemical industries are not giving jobs or are not growing. Everything is happening in an amalgamation. Everything is happening in a collaborative way. So if you just see that a lot of demand is there for UI UX, it may be there today, it may not be there 5 years down the line, because it was not there 5 or 6 years or 10 years before, right? So that's what you need to understand. Okay, so I have covered information design and interaction design. Now moving on to lifestyle accessories design. Lifestyle accessories design is again a very individually manual oriented discipline. Definitely, lifestyle accessories are also a type of product, but lifestyle accessories are primarily not mass manufactured. Lifestyle accessories is something which you are creating for an elite audience, and you are creating it only in few numbers, right? So if you ever go to these premium lifestyle stores, like in Bangalore, you can go to this mall called UB City, and in UB City you will find a lot of ceramic design stores, or a lot of these craft stores where a single bowl made of ceramics, or a single artifact made out of metal or ceramic or different sort of clays or glass will cost like some 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs. So this is the kind of industry that you get into when you are working as a lifestyle accessory designer. A piece of bangles or a piece of tabletop accessory or a piece of handmade jewelry made out of terracotta or all these kind of things, or certain jewelry items made out of gold wiring and silver as a material, those kind of things you will be working on and you will be creating as a final product. But those kind of products will be primarily a hand worked product. It's not like you designed it and now you are mass manufacturing it like an iPhone, and it's just like a one time design effort. It's not going to be like that. So that industry will be primarily catering to high net worth individuals, and you will be working on exclusive designs. You will be working on beautiful products which which is a part of fashion industry, which goes well with XYZ type of clothing collection from so and so designer, launched at autumn spring collection, and at so and so fashion week in Milan or in other parts of the world. So this particular branch is closely associated with fashion industry. Overall, the whole feel of lifestyle accessory is related to lifestyle. As the word suggests, it's all about rich, premium, luxurious lifestyle. And most of these works, most of these companies that you will be working with will be catering to a luxury brand, will be catering to the luxury accessories industry. Okay. And here also there is a lot of scope, there is a lot of exciting opportunities to work with top global brands, and Dolce Gabbana and Gucci and Armani and all those things. But you have to be really good at your craft, you have to be really good at your work. Definitely it will take time. It's not like immediately Microsoft came to your campus recruitment and you got hired. Generally these branches and designers in these fields take certain time to come to a individual identity level. But once the identity is established, there is no looking back. You will be famous like crazy. And unlike IT industry where you are just an employee ID and your individual identity is very less, these branches offer you the real power of becoming a single designer, a single identity, and a very famous designer, provided you keep on working and keep on creating wow awesome stuff. Okay. And so is the case with your furniture design, or so is the case with apparel design, or textile design. An individual contributor role is very high in these industries, and your chances of becoming a famous designer, a well-known name in the industry is very high if you are working in these fashion related industries. Okay. Now coming on to again IT integrated new media design. Now this particular branch, new media design, is again a very hybrid branch. What do you mean by new media is primarily using a lot of technology, using a lot of knowledge, cultural influence, and creating a new kind of experience in terms of design, in terms of media, and in terms of communication. Now it may sound too much, but what that branch essentially does is taking a lot of research oriented projects, doing a lot of new things in the media space. What I mean by media space is like IR and VR are the new technologies coming up, as it was demonstrated with the new iPhone launch. So now you can wear a head gadget and see everything in 3D, though it's just stored in your iPhone, but you can see things in 3D and you can interact with it in 3D. The whole thing of virtual reality and all those things are coming into picture, and this particular branch deals with that. So if you are a tech enthusiast, if you are a geek, if you are all about computer science and you using various sensors and technology, and you love to code and you love to design things using a lot of new technology compounds, using a lot of new methods, you like to communicate things with with some sort of hybrid intervention, some sort of amalgamation of different fields of communication, then this is a branch for you. This is something that is extremely experimental in nature. There will not be anything which is out of scope when it comes to new media and communication. You will be learning about human psychology and culture and a lot of data and technology, and communicating a lot of information in a very new and a unique experience perspective. It's like wearing a watch, and the watch is telling you time just by projecting it on a wall, and you don't actually have to see at the look at the watch, but the watch has an embedded projector into it, or your messages are coming onto your Apple Watch, but all those messages are getting projected on a wall, or some sort of Google Glass kind of product where everything is coming as a projection on your glass itself. You don't even need to look at your mobile screen and unlock the mobile and all those things. So this kind of new technology oriented branch is new media design, and there is a lot of scope for research. There is a lot of scope for you to build new things in terms of communication, in terms of experience, in terms of interaction, right? So you should definitely go for this branch if you are a research oriented person, if you are into technology, if you are into using a lot of new gadgetry to build something. Wow, this may not be extremely product centric. This may not be something which you can create in 15-20 days and say that, oh wow, I created this product. It may not work that way, but it is kind of a hybrid way of creating something for the future. So if you are excited about futuristic things, go for new media, especially for engineering background who are very much comfortable with coding and using a lot of gadgetry, and also have a creative aspects of looking at things and are very excited about the new things in future, then go ahead with this branch. Now coming on to other traditional branches like photography design and product design. Photography design is basically photography, and they will teach you a lot of new techniques. But apart from technique, what NID is particularly famous about is the way of thinking. So the primary role of a photographer as per NID is not just clicking pictures. It's about creating a very strong story, creating a very strong communication using photography as a medium. So you can be a very good documentary photographer, you can be a very good photographer in editorial industry, media industry. You can get into n number of photography related industries, be it fashion photography, be it editorial, be it documentary, be it product photography, and all sort of things related to photography will be there. They will teach you all sort of basics that you need to get into, or get comfortable with the overall technical side of photography. Plus they will give you a lot of assignments and projects and internships to work with industry leaders, and all those sort of things will happen. What primarily it needs to get into NID photography design is your way of looking at things. So it's not just about knowing the tech side of how to use a camera, but understanding that medium of photography as a strong way to communicate a thought, an idea, a feeling, an emotion, or an experience, right? And you can very well do that with your phone camera also. So it's not like as a photography student or as a candidate you need to buy a DSLR or create a portfolio to present it for the jury. It's not like that. You can very well manage it with a good high-end phone also. It's good if you can invest in a DSLR and start get a head start on day one, and create a stunning portfolio before joining an ID, and that will really help. But it's not a prerequisite. All you can do is, all you need to do is focus on creating good stories, good pictures, emotions, and look at a lot of existing photography work, and then try to create something new from from your study, from those that are existing. You can try different techniques, different methods, different ways of photography philosophies and styles and all those things, right? Now moving on to a very standard, very age-old branch, which is product design. You also call it industrial design. So if you go to IITs, they don't call it product design, they call it industrial design. And industrial design and product design are primarily the same branch. It's the same study, it's the same discipline. Primarily, it focuses on industrial way of manufacturing things. As the industrial revolution came into picture, a lot of things started happening and getting manufactured through a systematic production process, and this is what the discipline focuses on. So me as a designer, if me as a product designer, if starts playing with clay and starts creating beautiful vase and tableware using clay, that will not be considered as industrial design, because it's not primarily mass manufactured. Wherever you need your hands to build an individual product every single time, it's not industrial design. And that is what the segregation is. So in industrial design or product design, what we primarily study is products, people, and usage. How 100,000 or millions of users will use a product, what are the choices and psychological needs and all those things which are required to build a product which is much more user friendly than an existing product. Okay, and it's not just about redesigning products, it's about understanding the problems and solving problems at a much bigger scale than just creating the new iPhone or stuff like that. So product design is a very vast field of study, and product design essentially deals with creating physical products with a mass manufacturing ability and which can cater to 100,000 users. A lot of needs, a lot of requirements, and with a lot of technical or physical constraints. So you will be working with products ranging from mining industry to healthcare industry to health and safety industry to IT industry to car design industry or education industry, anything which revolves around millions of users, and there is no way you can solve the problem without a physical product, then industrial designers are the most needed designers. For example, your city is launching a new metro. Now, for launching a new metro, you need to create a metro station, you need to create the coach in the metro station, you need to create a lot of physical infrastructure for that idea to get realized, right? So there is a lot of civil engineering involved, mechanical engineering involved, there is a lot of security and data engineering involved, there are a lot of IT integrated systems into play, there is a lot of electrical engineering and a lot of different disciplines of engineering and design coming into picture to create a metro station, right? But primarily the metro, the whole thing is a product, is basically a physical 3D object that you are using for days and days over years and years. So the basic understanding of human behavior, human ergonomics, and human psychology, and the way materials behave, the engineering constraints of those materials under different circumstances of climate and temperature and strength and weakness of load testing, and all those things comes into picture. So, and industrial design or product design is primarily dealing with a lot of 3D materials, solving real world problems in 3D space, which is revolving around human needs are addressed through the study and through the implementation of product design. So this is what it is about product design. Definitely there is a lot of scope, because as you can see nowadays we are using 10 times more products compared to what we used to do 10 years ago. We all have our individual, mobile phones and TVs, and a lot of 3D objects as per our choices. Earlier there used to be just one TV in a house. Now there are 3-4 TVs in each and every room, and a lot of 3D products and a lot of 3D objects have grown in the last 5-6 years, and it will continue to grow if human needs keep on evolving. So the scope of becoming an industrial designer and working as an industrial designer is also very high. It again depends on the industry that you are getting into, and this is definitely something that is going to stay for next 30, 40, 50 years, as long as you are interacting with 3D materials, long as you are interacting with 3D objects. Product designers, industrial designers will always be needed. Okay, now moving on to strategic design management. Now this branch again is a very hybrid branch, which is very particular to NID. A lot of industries don't even understand what exactly it means to have a strategic design manager, and there are very few courses in the world, there are very few colleges in the world which offers strategic design management as a course, as a full-time 2-year long course. So this is a very unique hybrid course, and it's not just about design, or it's not just about management, it's about strategy. It's about primarily taking design as a tool and applying it at different levels of management. What I mean by different levels of management is, suppose you are creating a company like Apple, which is manufacturing iPhone and other products, or let's say you are creating a company which is manufacturing bicycles in India. Now, as you can see, the users of bicycles are dropping day by day, and a lot of people are switching to motorized bikes or cars, and the consumption of bicycle is going down. Now, as a strategic designer, you need to understand what the market needs in terms of product, what the market needs in terms of strategy, in terms of rules, regulations, in terms of environment, in terms of the overall business proposition. Why should somebody stop using a petrol fuel bike or an electric bike and switch to a regular cycle? Why should a person choose to cycle to work, or why should a person buy that Indian made cycle over a European made electric bike or any kind of thing? So a strategic design manager will be a person who will taking a lot of design decisions, who will taking a lot of decisions based on design thinking and implementing it in the overall decision making process at the management level. So it's not just about creating good looking designs, it's not just about making functional products, it's about taking decisions, taking strategic decisions, using design thinking as a tool, and targeting the overall profitability of the organization, targeting the overall revenue growth and business growth and user comfort and user satisfaction and overall user experience about your product and service, and everything is involved. So this particular branch is primarily focused on strategy, and if you are a person who has a MBA bent of mind, if you love to plan things on a strategy level, if you love to take decisions on a business level, if you love to take decisions from a human centered perspective, and you love to study case studies and you know, you love to read about big corporations and launch of products and understanding the startup ecosystem and understanding things overall in a bigger picture, then this is a discipline for you. And because it's offered at a PG level, an ideal candidate would be somebody who is coming from an engineering or commerce background or a CA background, or a person coming from any graduation basically, but who is looking forward to get into a managerial or a strategic career, who wants to take decisions based on a lot of parameters and who want to take decisions which will impact a lot of departments in a company. Okay, so that's what strategic design management is all about. And because the video is stretching too long, I am finishing my descriptions very soon. Now moving on to textile design. Textile is one of the oldest branches in NID, and as old as the human need of covering the body, this branch is like the most basic branch of design. As long as people are you know demanding clothes, and as long as clothing is required, this branch will never go out of fashion or out of scope. So textile designers are very much required, and a lot of technology intervention is giving new aspects to the study of textile design. Earlier it used to be very manual work, but a lot of this manual weaving and all those things are done by machines now. So textile designers are coming up as a new phase of bringing new designs and creativity and innovation at the fabric level, at the core structure and strategy level of textile design. If you go to a retail store like Pantaloons, or if you go to a retail store like at home, you will find that nowadays there are 10 more different varieties of carpets, 10 more different variety of textures in your clothing, and different sorts of waterproofing materials and transparent materials are available for clothing. And the same thing is getting used by fashion designers in hundreds of new creative ways. So textile is the mother branch which allows a lot of fashion designers to explore in materials, and that is something that will be always there as a core, because if you are not innovating on the fabric itself, then it's very difficult to innovate on the fashion styling. It's very difficult to create new kind of fashion statements, fashion styles, if you are having the same old boring cotton cloth with just one black color or one blue color, right? So textile industry is all about creating new and new sorts of fabrics, and there is a lot of technology intervention happening. You can read a lot of about textile design through a lot of Wikipedia pages and other sort of googling resources. But this is something that is very basic to any kind of apparel, fashion and clothing industry. Even to a great extent, lifestyle accessories is also dependent on textiles, because when it comes to lifestyle accessories, you use a lot of synthetic materials, you use a lot of textured materials and leathers and synthetic leather, and a lot of rubberized coated things, right? So primarily it is all getting manufactured in the textile design industry, and textile design industry is something which is a base branch for a lot of fashion based industries. So the scope is huge, the scope is never ending in my opinion. And if you are interested into creating those fabrics, creating those textures, creating those materials which then can get developed into a lot of new products, then this is a branch for you. Definitely it needs a lot of manual labor and hard work initially, and the recognition part will come slowly as you mature in the industry. Placements and pay packages are equally good, and this particular industry gives you a lot of opportunity to explore the traditional Indian way of creating things. India has a very rich textile heritage, particularly in Gujarat. It's known as the textile capital. Okay, now coming to toy and game design. This is particularly another sub branch of industrial design, because this toy and game design is about physical toy and game design. It's like board games and 3D toys with wood or plastic or metal or rubber or any sort of physical properties are involved in these products, these toys. And game design is primarily a human psychology and strategy, and understanding the psychology part of human nature is very, very critical to designing a game or a toy. If your toy is not exciting enough to be used or to be played with for 5-6 hours or for a time span of 3 to 6 months, then it's not considered a successful toy. So it's like creating a new game of cards. So like Uno is a very famous game of cards in youngsters these days, or there are a lot of board games. There is a very, very famous board game called Monopoly, which is basically a business strategy game. So like that, a lot of games will be developed by you and your colleagues, and this is primarily a branch where you always feel like a 10-year-old. Your curiosity level and your playfulness will always match those kind of users. So if you are somebody who don't want to grow up as a designer, and you don't want to grow up, if you are somebody who don't want to grow up and really loves to be around kids and youngsters, you really love the idea of playing games and really love the idea of playing things in a 3D world, and creating strategy and beautiful gameplay, then this particular branch will really excite you. This is something which a lot of my colleagues used to enjoy when they were in toy and game design, and I used to wonder what this guy is playing with since morning. He's just fiddling around with some wooden blocks and tying some thread to these blocks and attaching some wheels, and it actually looks like a 10-year-old is playing with stuff. And that's what the branch is about. Definitely you can get work and get hired in companies like Lego and a lot of international brands of games and toy designs. But the whole idea of this branch is to create a look at the lighter side of life and create things very exciting, breaking away from a monotonous, boring way of life. So primarily this discipline is all about creating fun, creating excitement, and at the same time you will be working on a lot of educational toys, and you may be working with some kind of challenges where you are building toys for disabled children, or you are building toys for elderly with other disabilities or challenges. But essentially it's all about staying joyful, staying happy, and staying excited. So whatever you will build will bring smile to a lot of users. Whatever you will design will bring excitement and great joy to a lot of users, and playing around with kids is like one of the best things. This is one branch which you should go to if you are really excited about the psychology of kids, psychology of youngsters, and playing things in the 3D world, playing with stuff really excites you. Okay, now moving on to transportation design. So transportation and automobile design is again one of the hottest branches. Every other guy in the world wants to be a car designer. But this particular branch is not just about car styling and car design, it's about transportation design. Now transportation is a whole big new challenge altogether. It's not just about designing the new Ferrari or new Lamborghini and next Tesla. Transportation means you are dealing with one of the biggest problems in the world. Daily commute for millions and millions of users is the biggest challenge, and doing it efficiently with very little resources or consuming resources in a very optimal fashion and making life easier for millions of users is one of the biggest challenges that you need to study and you need to solve for as a transportation designer. And primarily the branch deals with studying these things. It's not just about designing fancy cars, or it's not just about styling part of automotive design. It is about creating transportation solutions. So you may be working on the next metro design, you may be working on a big ship, or you may be working on interiors and design of aircraft and those kind of things. You can also be working, you can also choose to work on new bicycles and motorcycles and concepts like, hybrid concepts, amphibious vehicle which can go on water, which can ride on waves, and which can also used in flying, and which can also be used on road and those kind of things. So a lot of scope is there for research, a lot of scope is there to design systems, as well as creating sexy looking cars, right? And as I mentioned, the scope is equally there for transportation industry. Now you can see a lot of Indian car and bike manufacturers are also getting very design conscious. And if you see the latest designs from Bajaj or TVS, or Royal Enfield, they are really exciting. They are really wow. So huge scope, and again, very, very research oriented. You can go global, and some of the NID transportation designers are working on the latest Ferraris and BMWs. So the scope is huge. You can build the next Mumbai monorail, or the next super speed metro, or anything like that. You can also get to design the new public transport for your city or for the country. So it's really exciting, and as a designer, as a transportation designer, you will get the opportunity to solve big problems, big transportation related problems. Now we are moving on to universal design. Universal design is again a new term when it comes to other older branches like product design or textile design. Universal design has evolved from the whole concept of designing for everybody, designing for people who are not considered mainstream. So what do you mean by universal is, you should also be considering people who have certain disabilities. You should also be considered people who are not from the same geography as you are. Like designing designing a motorcycle for Chinese users versus designing a motorcycle for European users. Now Europeans are generally much taller than average Chinese people, right? So understanding these things and the core principles of human centric design are key principles to universal design. Universal design gives you a psychology and gives you a theory that whatever you design for a bigger audience. Consider the minorities also, consider the edge cases, consider those people for whom a lot of things are not getting designed, or they are getting ignored basically. So for example, when you are designing a touch based cell phone, you are not considering people with touch disabilities, or who have body shake problems, who are not very touch sensitive, or you are not considering situations where people will be using it in -20 temperatures and they will be wearing gloves. So with the use of gloves, you cannot use a touch device, right? So a lot of times there are certain challenges, there are certain constraints which a standard design process never considers. Like in a typical product design, you will have a very focused target user segment, and you will be only designing for those. So that is why there is a need in today's world to design for people who doesn't come under target audience as a primary target audience, but they are still a minority and they need those products, they need those services, they need things to be designed for them. So for those cases, universal design has evolved, has come up as a new branch of study where you will be studying and designing products for those minorities also. Those people who are neglected, who were neglected earlier, will now be getting the advantage of latest in design and technology, and you will be building products which will, take everybody together, right? So guys, this is what it is, all these branches for you. I hope I am able to explain the branches in some detail, and I wanted to stretch this video, but I think it will be too much and too boring for you guys to listen to. And with this, I would like to end this video. I hope this video helps you in some or the other way. Whatever are your doubts and queries, please write in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to answer your queries. Okay, so till then, bye bye, take care, see you in the next video.